In our last short film, we talked about the types of events we run here at DJ Learning about building teams. We're now going to follow on from that and talk about how we can work with you, with your teams, to get optimum levels of performance. We talked about last time the importance of making the most of the resources that you have. And there are several things that underpin how you do that. Every member of your team has to have a clear understanding of what you're about. What are your key purposes within that organization? So that's not just within the team itself, because quite clearly everybody who's coming to work within a team needs to understand what they're there to do and what the objectives of that team might be. But it also is important that every member in that team understands where they fit in the broader organization, so how they're making an organizational contribution. We've also begun to learn, and we would continue to learn as we look to build teams to optimum levels of performance, how important it is that everybody has clarity around what they're there to do, how they make a contribution to levels of team performance, what it is they need to do, how they need to do it, when they need to do it by, to what level. And within that capacity to take ownership, to be empowered to make ideas and suggestions, to continually develop what they do. Really, really important that we create that type of environment, and we will spend time looking at that. It's also really important within that team that we understand the individual and collective relationships, how that team is gelling. And we'll look at frameworks like the Belbin model, which looks at the different roles and responsibilities in a conceptual way, where you fit what your preferred primary and secondary role might be, and then say, well, actually, looking at these different frameworks, how does that work in the role that either I have or the role that I aspire to? Quite clearly, it's important that everybody in that team understands their individual and collective motivators, and that can mean all sorts of things depending on the organizational environment in which you work. So for example, if you're working in a charity, or if you're working in a hospital, or if you're working in an investment bank, or if you're working in a supermarket, your individual and collective motivators, for very understandable organizational reasons, are going to be different. And optimum team delivery is also about getting that balance between the you, so your self-management, and the extent to which you need to be interdependent on your colleagues around you. So those would be your peers as team members and also your team leader. So those are the kinds of frameworks that we would work with you on as you look to take your team to levels of optimum performance, whatever that means in the context of your own organization. And by the way, today's optimum performance is tomorrow's not performing well enough. So in other words, you need to continually raise that team bar. Oliver's going to share with us an example from his previous employer about how he worked with the team and took that team to levels of optimum performance.
So in my first role as a full-time manager, it was in a department that was completely new to me. So there was the challenge of understanding the KPIs of the department, of the individuals and of the managers, and understanding what makes those people tick, be it financial, do they want to develop, do they want to just come in and do the best they can? It was very important to me to set clear objectives very early on, and aside from setting the objectives, reviewing them, reviewing what I've done, what they've done and what we've done, and have a short, medium and long-term plan for me, for the team and for the individuals. Again, it's very important that you review those regularly. And on the back of that, we achieved some very good results as a team and individually. So be it development, be it individual KPIs, be it people just being that bit happier coming to work. You know, I did my best to achieve a good environment, and on the back of that, there's the work side, and also something as simple as having a monthly night out, which always had good attendance, because there's the work side of things, and there's taking a keen interest as well in the people side of things.
So if you come to join us on these events, we will explore some frameworks, we'll explore some theory, we'll spend at least as much time thinking about how the theory and how the concepts apply to each of you, how they apply to your team, and creating a mindset for each of you when you go back to your place of work that says, here is my team's level of performance today. How can we constantly push these boundaries to get ever increasingly higher levels of optimum performance? Very, very powerful series of events that we run, and we hope we have the opportunity to work with you. Please have a look at our website again, www.djlearning.co.uk. Thank you very much.